So, about 5 years ago, a video was posted to my YouTube channel, Eleanor questioning me about my prison anal virginity. I'll put the link in the description box. So how are things going for you these days?
You can't just lead into it from that. I wasn't just some stalker that was like, oh, I know what I'll do.
What were you?
Oh, it was a kind of stalker. I think I found you on Twitter.
Okay.
And fell in love with your story, reached out.
Thank you.
And I think I was in not a very great place at the time.
Yes.
And I was doing a sort of student radio show at the time. I wasn't a student.
Yeah.
But I was doing like a show for Shoreditch Radio at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a on the radio discussion.
I just remember laughing my ass off for about an hour straight.
Yeah, this was proper dick chat, Eleanor. So basically, I just wanted to know all the scummy bits of prison.
Dropping the soap.
Yeah, usual
my
stuff.
Booty Bandit friend Frankie.
I don't remember that.
He was the guy who was Mexican Mafia hitman. And he showed up at my cell when I had my pants and boxers down. I was applying antifungal ointment to the bleeding bed sores on my behind. And then he sent me a love letter a few hours later.
Beautiful.
He was trying to get me to do naked yoga, strip chess.
Nice.
Yes.
Where is he now?
He just got released this month.
In America?
I've just got a message on Facebook saying Frankie's out. He wants to speak to you on the phone.
Oh, that's nice.
But there was no phone number, so I've asked for the number. Yeah.
That's nice. Do you keep in touch with all the ghetto boys?
Yeah, he said he's going to get his deceased brother's passport and fly out here, and we're going to have a gay marriage and get a place in London together.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, does he know that you hate living in London? I don't know.
It's something that he's going to have to adjust to. But I doubt he can even get on the plane, actually, because it's at the discretion of the passport authority for these people. I don't think he's going to get on with his brothers, and because of his criminal record, there's just no way they're going to let him out of the country.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And you can't even go to America. You've been banned.
I'm banned from America for life.
Yeah. Awkward. Even Hawaii.
You know what? I was watching something about Hawaii.
Yeah.
I think it was that fake nuclear warning. And I've always longed to be in Hawaii because it's so beautiful. Two Tonys told me before he died, go to Hawaii, but I can't even go to Hawaii.
Do you care?
It would be nice to see some of the things there, but I've cared less over the years.
You've what?
I've cared less.
Don't worry about it.
In the beginning, I was missing my mates, but most of my mates now from the party scene have died.
From drugs?
Drugs, suicide, one drowned on drugs. Acid Joey, that was. Every year, one or two of them. In the last year, I had one guy, he was found foaming at the mouth. He'd been on a drug and alcohol rampage and he was blue in the face. Another guy was high on Xanax, walking along, passed out, hit his head on the corner of a table, and that killed him. Another one in last year he went back to prison on a different case. He had a mole and they wouldn't fix the mole in prison. You got nothing coming if you got a medical situation. So it changed colour and he got cancer throughout his entire body and died.
Oh God, that's an awful way to go.
Yeah. So we're starting this podcast out on a positive note.
Well, it can only get better, right?
So what have you been up to then since our last filming?
What, since when? Since when? It's 5 years ago.
The last 5 years, yeah.
The last 5 years. Well, okay. So when we met, I was not in the best place, but after, basically I got sober about 4 years ago.
Yeah. So sober from what?
Sober from drinking all the party drugs I was doing.
Yeah.
And that sort of had a big impact.
Yes.
And I basically wrote a show called Walk of Shame about my it's like an addiction show with a bit of Asia and porn in it as well. And it's just like all my adventures wrapped into an hour show.
This is the one I saw.
Yeah, that's the one you saw in G Live in Guildford. Yeah. And I just basically, like, me sober, it's like a dog with a with a bone. It's like I basically took it on a 100-date tour
Yeah.
around 10 countries throughout the world.
Yeah.
Sold out loads and loads of dates, and
Yeah.
just basically just hammered the fuck out of this show.
Yeah.
Milked it. and now I've just started working on the second one and getting ready to take that away overseas and bring it back on a UK tour.
So what's the second one called?
Walk of Shame 2. Reality Bites. But this one's a much more grown-up show. It's much more like about it's like when you when you get sober, like you're up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
But as the haze clears and like the last blackout sort of clears from your mind, reality becomes this thing that you have to learn how to deal with.
Yeah.
And understanding and finding ways to deal with reality without extreme stuff to make it exciting.
Yes.
It's hard.
It is a pain barrier you got to go through. How long were you on substances?
Oh, I've been a party girl since I was 13 or 14 years old. So
right.
I'm 40 now. I know I don't look it, thank you. But I've been, constantly partying around the world.
Yeah.
Chasing dramatical experiences and chasing extreme experiences and just getting high and just living in that binary existence of really high or really low.
And was that fulfilling?
I'm not going to say no, but
was it the most extreme in Taiwan?
It depends what you define as extreme.
Okay.
I think every sort of like era of my drug use throughout my adult life has been extreme.
Yes.
And it's almost, but overall, it's just all extreme. It's just all been extreme.
But did it get a bit scary in Taiwan?
Yeah, it fucking was horrible. It was fucking horrible.
What happened there then?
Oh, basically, I was at university in Leeds, and I got knock one down my front door, and it was one of my drug dealers who was like, "Hey, do you want to be a TV presenter?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I do want to be a TV presenter." So he was like, "Oh, I've got this guy. He's looking to take a crew of people around the country." So then I met this guy. And from that moment on, I spent a year going to every club in the country, shooting this fake TV show called UK Uncovered, right? And the premise was that we just rock into a club with a camera and get people to do mad shit for booze, right? And it fucking worked a treat. Like this is way before YouTube and all that stuff. So this is around circa 2000-ish.
Yeah.
So, and so we did that, and then I met my boyfriend, my sort of boyfriend that I ended up going to Asia with, because he was another drug dealer friend, and we pulled him in to be our driver, and then we began to get so basically it's just a car of stoneheads just like going to like doing like 3 or 4 clubs a week, but not next to each other. Like it could be like Dundee then Plymouth the next night, just really badly planned. So then afterwards, that TV show ended. It sort of fell. It had a fucking series on Nuts TV. You know the Nuts TV glamour.
The old Lads Mag thing.
Yeah. Oh, were you here then?
I was here in December 2007 was my release. I think I did something with Nuts or one of those magazines. I just can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, like sort of very sort of like way loaded. Anyway, so basically we'd go to like places like Yeovil. I'd get on the mic. They'd have a live feed going around like the most disgusting, like one of those big sort of like icons, like those big sort of chavvy 2,000 capacity clubs with blue drinks.
Yeah. And
we'd just get on the mic and there'd be a live camera going and be like, "Oh my God, what will you do to be on telly? I'll give you some booze." And so just people were giving like girls were just getting like dropping to their knees, taking out men's dicks and just giving it loads on the dance floor. It was so rank. But I just thought it was hilarious. Anyway, so I met the second drug dealer, and that all UK Uncovered finished, and we were all broke. We were broke. We just finished university, broke.com, and he suggested, or he got the opportunity to go to Korea to teach English, and I was like, oh, do you love me? Okay, can I come with you? Because I was fucking, I didn't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
And I basically, I just not really known him very long and wasn't really sure if we were dating or not, but just ran away to Asia with this guy that I just blatantly met.
He was a drug dealer?
Yeah, he was just like,
Was he a poly drug dealer or did he specialise?
I don't know. I think just a little bit of everything.
Okay.
No, nothing too heavy.
Yeah.
But and then we just kind of went to Korea for a year to dry out.
Okay.
Dry out from drugs, but not dry out from drink. Alcohol is very intense. They drink a lot of alcohol in Korea.
Really?
Yeah, it's a heavy drinking place.
So you substituted the drugs with the ale?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like not sort of beer or wines. It was like this, it's almost like a fermented
Sake bombers?
Yeah, it's soju. It's like a sort of like almost like
plum wine?
Yeah, but it's like a fermented. It's quite intense. It's like it sends you a bit mad. it's like being on LSD, but like
you hallucinate.
Not really. Yeah, it doesn't make you drunk. It just makes you fucked.
Right.
Yeah. So we just stayed there for a year, and then we had problems with visas, and I've like Korea, the visa system's really weird over there. Am I going into too much detail?
No, keep it going.
All right.
Yeah.
So like in Korea, like visa is quite bureaucratic over there, and it's very like 1950s. Like the women have the babies and the men do the thing, and it's a Confucianist society, so it's very much older.
Yeah.
Older, respectful, and so young white women smoking on the streets of Seoul doesn't go down very well.
Yeah.
So it is quite sort of like you get looked at if you drink. Like you got like as a female, I'd smoke out in the bar, but if I went into the female toilets, all the Korean girls are smoking in the toilets,
right? Because
they don't want to be seen to be smoking outside of the toilets.
Yeah, but they get repressed on it because my first wife was Korean.
Oh yeah.
I've still got her teeth mark on my bicep. She's the one who jumped in the shower and tried to cut my balls and my dick off.
That's because she was repressed from a young age. I swear.
You're putting together the psychology of it now. This explains a lot.
They are mad. Asian women are mad.
Yeah.
Not all of them, some of them.
Yeah.
And so was it? And so I can't remember what happened, but you're not when you're living Korea, like when you live in Korea as an English teacher, because that's what we went over as. You're only supposed to work for the people who's on your visa. So if you're caught doing work outside, they can be quite strict on it.
Such as drug dealing.
No, there was no drugs over there.
Okay.
No way.
Is it death penalty?
I don't know. I just think we're a bit more scared.
Yeah.
That was about to change though. And then what happened? Oh yeah, the visa office did a clampdown, and we got a message from like one of our teaching agencies, basically going, "Shit, you need to go in. They're probably gonna deport you."
Right.
And me and the boyfriend were like, "Screw you!" and chucked all our stuff in and left on the next plane to Taiwan.
To Taiwan, and it's just that easy to get in there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't really remember. All I remember was like just us doing that with our finger and going da-da. And the first one was like Saudi Arabia, and I was just like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And then Taiwan was the second choice.
Yeah.
And then we arrived to Taiwan, and Taiwan is like a little oasis.
Really?
It's China, but it's not really China.
Yeah.
A small island off the coast of the mainland China. It has a weird relationship with mainland China in the sense that China goes, "You're China," and Taiwan goes, "We're not really, are we?" And then every once in a while they just send some missiles into the sea just to go, "Make sure you're still China. Don't try and get your own fucking passports."
Yeah, and the Americans pretend to back Taiwan up, don't they? I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's odd. I have to say, living in Asia because I lived there when 9/11 happened. I lived in Seoul, and Seoul had like one of the largest contingencies of US troops outside of America at the time.
Yeah, huge bases.
Yeah, like Yongsan Garrison, and just like I remember that night, sort of coming into like the school where I worked, and all the teachers like trying to describe in English what had happened.
Yeah,
and obviously that's never happened before, and their English is terrible because we taught them just two pissheads that had done a weekend course in English teaching, and we're teaching the future nations and like the future generations of Koreans, and just we were like, what? And Yeah, it was just I remember being there, and then they shut down all of like all that there was all on lockdown. None of the military could go out of their base and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hookers Hill was very quiet that night.
Hookers Hill.
Yeah, there's like a hill where all the
Did that
hookers.
service the troops?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Itaewon.
So you get to Taiwan.
Yes.
So how do two drunken teachers get to the triad gangster level?
Well, as anyone, like if you are like a little bit foreign,
Yeah.
you kind of get like there's like a different door that opens up, and you kind of like you get to hang out with like, without sounding like a dick, you get to hang out with sort of like more like important people
Okay.
because you're white,
Yeah.
and if you've got a bit of chat, then you can do it.
Yeah.
And at that time, so basically we arrived in Taiwan, and Taipei's great. It's like liberal. It's Asian, but it's very liberal because all the rich people during the Cultural Revolution basically hopped on a boat and fucked off to Taiwan.
Yeah.
And so it's very educated. It's very like a lot of people have gone to school in America and stuff like that. So it's different from mainland China.
Yeah.
And at the time, like the dance scene was starting to pinprick into the island of Taiwan.
Okay.
So we'd had this era in the UK of the late sort of mid to late 90s of like the super DJ, where people like Paul Oakenfold and people like that were making huge amounts of money in the UK, and that was dying off. So essentially they were now capitalizing on that coolness of being a super DJ in the UK and kind of going to places like South America and Asia where there was big money.
Yeah.
And literally, you'd walk into the club office where I worked, and there'd be like the DJ Mag Top 100, which used to come out every year, and they just tick them off.
Yeah.
Be like Carl Cox, Armin van Buuren, Tiesto, all quite trancey DJs,
Yeah.
but definitely the top of their field at that time. And so, obviously, me and the boyfriend had worked in telly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you count getting drunk girls from Yeovil to suck cock for blue Alco pops, we'd worked in TV. so with our like bare amount of like just minimum amount of like production experience,
Yes.
we bought a camera from near Yongsan Market near the barracks in Seoul, Korea, and we bought like this sort of mini DV like PD-150, like a really tiny, like super tiny, and then we bought a bigger camera, and we created a production company.
Wow.
And we went into like clubs that were owned locally by Taiwanese sort of gangsters, basically. And that's not anything of a stretch, because if you think about the 60s in the UK, gangsters ran clubs.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's that sort of similar vibe, but out there. And it bloody exploded. And within like a period of a year or two, we were getting people like 50 Cent over, which big. I know that's nothing now. People watching this going, oh, 50 Cent, this is 2001, right? So we're getting people like the Black Eyed Peas, 50%. We're getting 50%. Who else would we get? But people like that over, like big sort of megastars over, because they've got the money. And this thing mushroomed, and then before you know it, like lots of UK clubs were coming over to the island and setting up shops. So before we knew it, we sort of embedded ourselves into this sort of very new embryonic music scene.
So things are going smoothly at this point.
Things are going like, I'm trying to take myself back how I felt at that time and where was I. Things felt like exciting.
Yeah.
They felt exciting, and nobody else was doing what we were doing.
Yeah.
And we were fish out of waters. And there's something about being a fish out of water that I fucking love.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, I had the same in America. Just the Englishness, them calling me English Shaun in the Bank of England.
Yeah.
It's that you feel unique, don't you? You go from a town here where you're just a normal person, and then all of a sudden they're rolling out the red carpet.
Yeah.
And if you're in a scene like what you're describing, and you've got that place in the scene.
Well, that's it. It's very similar to your story in the beginning. When you went to Arizona, and you tapped into this, you were like, "I'm going to create the scene."
Yeah.
And you're gonna, and
Yeah.
essentially, it's almost that's why when I read your story, I was just like,
Mhm.
oh my God, this is so similar.
Yeah.
Very different outcomes, but
You created your own world, and right now you're riding the upwave side of it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're just sort of we're not really in a position of power. We're just sort of hanging on the coattails.
Yeah.
And just sort of and yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
But does it get dark?
Yeah, it does get dark.
Oh, these stories always get dark.
Well, look, I think when you are putting into the mix the fish out of water, the lawlessness,
Yeah.
we feel that we're above the law.
Yeah.
Not me personally, but like white expats who basically feel that no law pertains to them.
Yeah.
There's a level of lawlessness, and there's a level of, and if there's a sort of music, sort of tribal scene emerging, you add that into the mix, and then you add all the drugs in.
So you've gone from the alcohol level. What drugs were accessible in Taiwan?
Everything.
Absolutely
fucking everything. Crystal meth.
Crystal meth.
Yeah, which is a drug that I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
And I think it's very much that American vibe. I remember being in Korea and some guy being like, "Oh, you're going to England?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Can you get me back some crystal meth?" And I'm like, he's from Hawaii. I'm like, I don't know what crystal meth is.
Yeah.
But
when was the first time you were introduced to meth?
Well, I did at a house party when there was no Coke.
Right.
And I did it once, and I was like, this is not for me at all.
Really? I thought with your addictive tendencies, you would have said, all right, I'm done with Coke. That's a lot of people in America did that, because Coke, you're constantly snorting lines. But with meth, one line and it's like, oh, I'm up for days.
No, but you forget the kudos and the tribal and the sexiness, sort of ritualistic thing of cocaine, which is something that
indeed. There is a ritual around Coke, isn't there?
There is a ritual and there's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
There is something to be said.
What was your ritual?
Well, no, it was just about, if I would assess a room, ideally it would be a VIP room, because that makes me feel important.
Yeah.
And I would be like, who is the most important person in this room that I can get to give me their drugs? Because then that importance and that worth will rub off on me, and therefore I am that level.
So you're feeding your ego.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. But that's because I felt like complete low self-worth at that point. And I think a lot of the time, I did a geographical, and that's what, like in recovery, is called a geographical. When you run away with someone that you've just met, that's a geographical. You're not doing that for the best reasons.
Yeah, we all went deep inside ourselves years later. I mean, I was the same. Social anxiety, off drugs, I was scared to be around people.
What, off drugs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that sometimes.
Yeah, but then people are just seeing this party animal, thinking I'm the most confident person in the world. But inside, really, I was just that shy, anxious person masking it with the drugs.
Well, did you know that you were shy and anxious when you were in it, though?
When I was on the drugs?
Yeah, when you were in that sort of time period, because you're sober now like me.
When I was on the drugs, I just felt like I was superhuman. And when I was off the drugs, there were times when I was just curled in the fetal position on the bed, just couldn't bear the thought of being around people. But
what I mean is, you now know that you're socially anxious, right? I now know I'm socially anxious, but if you'd have told me or asked me in the party girl days, are you a socially anxious person? I'd be like, no way. I'm like mega confident.
Yeah. It was a show though, wasn't it?
Yes, but I didn't realise it was a show. There was a complete lack of awareness. I'd never tapped into. Do you know what I mean? I'd always remained on this sort of like the membrane, like the top bit of whatever it is, whatever I am or whatever we are.
Yeah.
I'd never accessed the deep.
I didn't either. I didn't understand psychodynamics, and I hadn't gone inside myself to address. You don't like that word, psychodynamics.
I was like, what? Oh, maybe I'm smarter than I'll give myself kudos for. Maybe I'm like, psychodynamic, yeah.
Why didn't you like crystal meth? Other than the ritual, what actually, when it hit you, the high?
I don't remember. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. It was never something that I was attracted to.
Perhaps you had bunk stuff because you would really.
Are you trying to get me hooked on crystal meth? You're very persuasive about the crystal meth.
All these drugs, when you take them, the pleasure's high in the beginning. This is the disclaimer now, but There's a real dark side to meth. Yeah, I wouldn't want you on meth, no.
Good. Thanks, man.
So, drugs are in the mix now.
Yeah.
And you're on the upwave, but the darkness is coming.
The darkness is coming. Yes, because we are on a holiday. Right, so basically the stuff that was going on around me was there was just loads and loads of drug use, like from the Taiwanese local side that we kind of dipped in and out of, from the expat white people side.
Yeah.
That was getting more lawless. People were taking risks.
Yeah.
That they felt, because they felt lawless. You know, we're overstaying our visas. We're all on like Chinese language visas, and every 3 months we go to Hong Kong to the Lipo Center, and we'll be like, yeah, we're still learning Chinese.
Yeah.
You've been there for 8 years. Yeah, I'm really bad at Chinese. You know, so it's slack.
Yeah.
Slack, and it's just this chilled out island, and people are getting risk. You know, people are taking risks.
Is your fella back to dealing?
Yeah, I mean, he was never like sort of like high level,
right?
But it was just there was that going on, and it was more for like our friends to make a bit of cash, to give us a good time.
Yeah. I would not like to end up in a Taiwanese prison.
Well, a couple of people did.
Yeah.
So out of that time, people were like basically like getting people in Canada to like hollow out English books and post them to Taiwan.
Really? With what drugs?
I don't remember. I think it's probably just weed, but probably a bit of coke as well.
Okay.
And then, you know, there's talk of like just different ways people would get it in. And a couple, you know, people got busted basically.
Yeah.
People got busted, and it was all over the local news, like kindergarten coke teachers. And this is just not the look, because like we have like respected pillars of the community. Yeah. We're teaching their young angels. We're just all on coke and crystal meth, like the whole island. So basically, you know, that was happening. And then just personally, things got dark. Well, I don't know what to say to that bit. Yeah, things got dark. In my relationship, things got very dark. And it became a situation where I felt trapped. Right. And, you know, he was a fucking abusive bastard, quite frankly. Yeah,
mentally or physically or both?
Both, I think.
Yeah.
And that's you know... Everything I did was never good enough, very gaslighty, chipping away, and that's how it starts. And just, you know, chip. You know, his pet name for me was Cretin. Yeah, it was you know, like, and it was a gradual thing. It was a control thing, you know. Yeah. We had this business together, and I was the one that was doing all the work.
Right.
So, and he was supporting me, and so it got to a point where he was like, we have a backlog of editing. You can't sleep until that editing's done. And he would wake up every 2.5 hours just to make sure that I wasn't sleeping.
What?
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to sleep in a bed. I was, you know, he made me sleep on a sofa. Yeah, it was fucking dark, man.
Oh,
dark.
He needed a good bitch slapping, didn't he?
Yeah, I hope he sees this.
He's not in prison now, then?
No, he's been living a very successful life.
Is he?
Yeah.
And how do you know this? You've been stalking him online?
I stalk him once in a while, yeah. Yeah, he's married and shit like that.
Is he?
Yeah.
But you dodged a bullet there with him.
Oh, yeah, he's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
Just one of those sort of like posh boys. It's weird because people like, I think sometimes men are attractive to like confident, loud women, but then when they get you, they're like, you need to shut the fuck up. Like, it's just like, and especially me on coke, I'm like, like, can't you just be normal and just be polite? And, you know, you really embarrassed yourself last night. Yeah, it was yeah. So that escalated, and yeah, the last 6 months of living in Taiwan was an absolute fucking shit show, just hell.
Yeah.
Just hell. So I'm battling with all this secret stuff, and I'm trying to leave him, and every like I'm trying to I left him about 3 times. I'd literally just pack all my stuff up and try and leave when he was out, and then he'd catch me, and he'd try and take the assets of the business away from me, or he'd steal my phone, and it would go over the thing, and I'd be like, oh, and I still have nightmares about it to this day. And it's like, I don't know why I didn't reach out and tell someone, but I think by that point you are so cocooned in that sort of, I don't know, this secret world that is just you and that other person. And I'm thousands of miles away from home, and so you've got no one to pierce through it and go, this guy is fucking mistreating you.
Yeah.
Really, really, really hard to deal with that.
Was the sex good at least?
We didn't have sex.
No sex?
Except, well, I mean, not...
That's a deal breaker, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No sex. Well, yeah.
You should have, like, beat him with a baseball bat and done him with a strap on from behind by the sounds of things.
Have you ever tried... Do you know what? Men are strong.
Men are strong.
I'm not that strong.
We could have set Wildman on him if you'd have been with my people.
Thanks, man.
Yes. So this is the end of the relationship, is it?
It is, kind of. So we're just living in that, and then I don't know if I can talk about it because I'm scared I might get sent to prison. But
there's a law called the Statute of Limitations.
Is there?
And if it's so many years before the crime, you can't get prosecuted for it.
What do you mean?
For example,
if I was to hypothetically have done a crime on my way out of the country,
we need a fact checker in here, don't we?
Yeah.
In Arizona, when they arrested...
I might ask for this bit to be cut, actually.
Yeah, we can cut anything.
Yeah.
In Arizona, the police didn't catch me with the drugs. I thought you had to get caught with the drugs, and I was naive to what's called the statute of limitations.
All right.
All it took was someone to go to the police from my past within a 7-year limit and tell the police I'd sold drugs to them, and they got you. So the statute of limitations is the crime's got to be committed within such a time frame. So on murder, there's no statute of limitations.
What about fraud?
Fraud in Taiwan, there would be some kind of statute of limitations, yeah.
Okay.
How long ago is it?
2007, 2006. Let's put it this way. I left the country in a bit of a hurry. I left the country in a hurry. Let's put it that way. I do want to say, but I can't. Yeah. I left the country because it's a really funny story, but I might save it until...
And were you better off?
No, I was fucking left with stolen goods.
You left the country with stolen goods?
Maybe.
Hypothetically.
I left the country in a hurry.
Did you go over your luggage weight allowance?
I don't remember. I don't think that was... I left the country in a hurry. Let's put it that way.
Okay. And where did you land next?
I basically went straight to Liverpool to my mum's place and lived in Wallasey.
Wallasey?
Yeah, that's where my mum lives.
So you're up from my neck of the woods?
Yeah.
Your mum's a Scouser?
No, she's French.
So what kind of accent does she have?
I don't even know. I can't even do my mum's accent.
Really?
No, it's just too weird.
So how long were you up in Liverpool, near Liverpool?
Well, about 9 months. Just had everything going on. Like, firstly, the cultural thing.
Could you understand them in Liverpool?
Yeah, but there was definitely because I hadn't been back.
When I got to America, they couldn't understand me, so I had to change my accent. So after coming back to my hometown after 16 or 17 years, I went into a fish and chips place to order chips, curry and rice, and I couldn't understand them. So there's a reverse culture shock, isn't there?
Yes, there is. I came back with an American accent, actually, because I've been teaching English.
Yeah.
So I've been teaching American English for 6 years. So it'd be like, apple, sidewalk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a little bit American-y. So I kept getting mistaken for American. Then
so the Scousers must have been, what is this? What are we dealing with
I didn't really go out much, to be honest.
Yeah. You're probably recovering.
I was in a state of trauma when I got back.
Oh.
Yeah, I was in a state of trauma. Just firstly the cultural shock.
Yeah.
Firstly, because that is, it's. I was like, I'm not Asian, but I don't feel Western.
Mm-hmm.
It was that sort of very sort of like I don't know what I am. What am I? Who am I?
Yeah.
Very like I was like, I don't understand digital tele. It was like proper Rip Van Winkle. I was like, how do I use digital remotes? So I had that, and then obviously I had the whole fucking traumatic sort of aftermath of this fucking terrible relationship that I'd essentially escaped from. As soon as we got back to London, he went back to Newcastle, where he's from, and I went to Liverpool, and I just basically decompressed, and I started to realise really slowly that what he'd done to me was bad, and that's not how a man should treat you. And this guy had been horrible and abusive to me over a period of years. So just starting to understand that, and that's been a really long process, and it's I can't believe I'm still talking about it like 12 years after the thing. But I tell you what, I understand why people don't report things like this, because you don't. It's too traumatic. There's a sense of self that gets eradicated over a period of time. You look at me and you go, she has never been a victim. And this, whatever this is it's been a slow process to rebuild.
And all these things affect your behavior for the rest of your life. You can try and work through them mentally, and it goes down over time, but it makes you see things differently, and especially when it comes to potential partners. I had a lot to learn as well after almost getting my dick cut off and that kind of thing. So how long, I don't often jump in the story here, how long was it before you ended up working in porn?
Okay, so basically, right, so you've got to understand, I left this really extreme environment of Asia, you know, working in the club scene, hanging out with gangsters, hanging out with hip-hop stars.
Hanging out with gangsters?
Yeah, well, we did drugs together, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Just being in that sort of like clubby sort of underworld.
Yeah.
You know, we had a brothel above, like on the floor above. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, it's just all quite, it's just clubby. It's just clubby and just a bit underground. And so that's quite extreme. The drugs, the kind of celebrity of being an expat.
Have you got any scary gangster stories from?
Not really. Okay. No. To be honest, as a non-Mandarin speaking white woman, wasn't really let into the inner circle.
Okay. They didn't have you out debt collecting or anything with them.
Could you imagine? So look, I'm in Liverpool for 9 months crying, like literally I'm just like a mess. My mum puts me back together, and then I'm like, right, I'm going to move to London. And I get my first job at a TV channel, which also owns Babe Station.
Wow.
And it was called Sumo TV, and it was run by a company called Cellcast, and that was fun. So basically I was an editor, like we used to do, when YouTube stuff started taking off, they used to do this format of show called UCG, which is called user generated content. And so the idea is that you'd make a program out of other people's stolen clips from the internet. We had no like copyright clearances or permissions. We just used to rip them off and put them in a TV show. Sorry, guys. So I was producing that and presenting that. But at this point, I'm properly like, you got to understand, right? I had no therapy after the ex-boyfriend beating the shit out of me in China, like Taiwan. No therapy, the whole druggy thing. No, nothing. So I basically discover London in all its alcohol and dating and white boy cock glory, and I'm like, I'm ready for ya. You gotta understand, right? I'd spent 6 years in this Asian environment where white girls are not hot, right? I'd been in this sexless relationship where he beat the shit out of me, and I was learning about my sexual power as a young woman, you know, 28 years old, just, you know, and like just got stuck in, and I'm looking for someone to save me. Let's be fucking fair. Do you know what I mean? I'm a codependent person. I'm totally codependent. You know, what he thought of me was how I thought of myself. but to like puppy dog degrees. It's like, you're too loud. You are not high enough class for me. You are scum. You are cretin. You are working class shit.
Yeah.
And so any granules of you did well today, I'd take that, and I would find nutrition from that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you take me out of that, and I'm fucked. And so I just go through all the online dating platforms looking for validation.
What were the online dating platforms at that point in time?
Can't remember.
Plenty of Fish.
Before that.
Before Fish.
Yeah, before that. There was another one I can't remember. I just genuinely can't remember.
Match.com.
Before that.
Before that.
Yeah. My single friend, there was like 2 before that. And I went on all of them.
And learning the online dating ropes, have you got any stories from those days?
Yeah, loads.
Did you have to bail on anyone? Like,
there's so many. Like, genuinely, that's another podcast. What's it also together? I've been single since 2007.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of dick stories. No shame.
We've got time to get some dick stories in.
Oh crikey! I can't think of any. I can't think of any offhand.
Yeah.
But as they come along, I will drop them in.
Okay.
So I'm working for Sumo doing this telly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm going out and I'm partying. I'm going mad.
Yeah.
And during this period, I fell off a lion statue in Trafalgar Square because I got too drunk. I was in a car crash, woke up in a car, like mid-car accident. Oh yeah, I had this awful story. This is a fucking awful story. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
Oh God. Oh, it's so bad. Right. Oh God. Right, so when I was high on ecstasy,
Yeah.
I went to West Croydon to look at a flat. And I agreed and signed a contract when I was high on ecstasy on a flat in West Croydon, because when you're high on ecstasy, you see the good in everything, right? And it was a shithole. In my clarity, it was a shithole, right?
Oh dear.
And my friend, this is about the time that I received like a payout, right? So basically, I was in a road accident. I got hit by a drunk driver. I woke up in a serious car crash.
Yeah.
With a woman trying to like tell me the words of Jesus as I'm awaking from subconscious, and I got like a payout of 20 grand.
Okay.
And I obviously did not put that down on a house. I went and stuffed it up my nose because that's what you do.
Yeah.
When you're an addict.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm living in West Croydon, and my friend Pamela comes to stay, right? And Pamela's this wonderful woman. She's from America, and she fucking loves everything about America, like England.
Yeah.
She loves it.
Yeah.
She fucking, those people that fucking love England.
Anglophiles.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You're like, they're like, her favourite place is Camden. Right? She loves it. Nobody loves Camden. Right? And she'd come to stay with me, right? And I'd gone out on a date and with this guy, and we get really, really drunk, and we go back to his place, and he was like, he really wanted to come back to my place, but I don't like men coming back to my place because they'll know where I live. So I was like, oh, let's go back to your place. And I'm in blackout, like properly Conway blackout styly.
Yeah.
And and we're in his bedroom, and I was like, why are all these shoes on the bedroom floor? And then we're getting down to it, and I was like, hang on, I need to do the bathroom thing.
Yeah.
Which means just sort everything out.
Yeah.
Make everything like clean and shaved, right? Just, and I'm sort of doing that, and I take this towel, and it's a tiny pink towel, and I see like fake tan on the shelves, and like lots of products. I like genuinely don't fucking pay any attention. All of a sudden, I hear the door knock, like the door open and slam, and then 2 people talking, a girl and the guy, and I was like, oh shit, oh, this guy's not single. Right? And so I was like, what shall I do? Shall I hide in the bathtub? And I was like, I'm fucking too drunk to hide in the bathtub. I'm too drunk to hide in the bathtub. Also, what if they forget about me? What if she comes from a wee? I just was like, no, right? I'm just going to own it. So I just opened the door and just kind of just open the door and go into the landing. I'm just like, hello, in her tiny pink towel, right? And he's just like, get in the bedroom. So I get in the bedroom and I'm like, oh, they'll bloody sort it out. And I went back to bed. That would have been a good time to leave, right? I did not do that because I was drunk and I wanted dick. So I got into the bed, right? And then all of a sudden I hear the bedroom door open and then I felt straddled and I was like, woohoo! And then I've got 2 black eyes from the bed. And then she left.
Did you get dick after
I
that?
did get dick after that! But then that makes me go, what kind of man would fuck a woman with 2 black eyes? Did he know my boyfriend?
Well, you had at least just shaved your pussy with his partner's
I mean, I don't know if we went into shave. I think I might just give him a little sprinkle. And I get back, right, and so I go to the police station, then I go back home to my flat, shitty flat.
Police station?
Yeah, I report it.
Oh, shit.
Of course I report it. Because at that point, I hadn't quite twigged
Yeah.
that was his girlfriend.
Okay. Oh, God. You just thought you were randomly assaulted.
Yes. Because I'm an idiot. And I go back home and Pamela's there and she's like, oh, Eleanor. She's like looking at me like, oh, my God. And I just remember looking at her and going, Pamela, do you think he'll call me? And I genuinely meant it. So that's the kind of headspace I was in.
Was there a second date?
No, there wasn't. So yeah, that's one of the most horrific dating stories. But that makes me come out quite bad, doesn't it? It makes me look like a real victim. That's how needy I was to get loved.
I can understand that, because when you go through prison for 6 years and you're wanking with your right and that gets boring and you switch over to your left and then you move on to the Fifi bag and that gets a bit messy. By the time you get out, you're just thinking, God, I've forgotten what it was like. You've got to make up for lost time. But you had a similar need.
Yeah, but the things I feel like I think because it's almost like I got power out of sex. Because I've been powerless in a place where I wasn't allowed to have sex with my partner because he wasn't into it. He was weird around it. Yeah. And secondly, because I was in a culture where I wasn't considered powerful and sexy in that way. Yeah. So it was I can see how that's why I went out to get power in that way. Yeah.
And how long does that feeling of power last?
I don't know. I think just as an overall comment on that period in my life, that's probably where that's come from. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like sex and power, I don't even know what that means. I mean, I don't think there is much power in a one night stand really now. Yeah. But that's because I've burnt through that drug so much. Yeah. I see it as a drug. It's 100% a drug, like in the way that I drink. Mm-hmm. So when you get to the point when the drink stops working, you move on to a different drug. Yeah. When that drug stops working, you move on to a different drug. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, sex for a woman doesn't cost anything. There's a ready supply of it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's powerful to have a supply of something so readily available.
Would you say that?
And I like drugs of ego. Yeah. So we've already, so there's that.
Would you say that that feeling peaks during the act of sex and the chase part, and then it subsides afterwards?
Yeah, the subside afterwards. Yeah, I would definitely think so. But it would just make the addictive cycle get quicker and quicker and quicker.
Right, because you've got to get more then. Yeah. To replenish.
Yeah, and and that's why for me Tinder or something like that is incredibly dangerous. Yeah. Just for my mental health. Yeah. But quite frankly, because it is, and I talk about this in Walk of Shame 1, it's not really about the date or the guy. It's about the ritual leading up to it. It's about the fantasy, the anticipation, the drama, the just, the frisson. And it's not necessarily, it's not really sexual. The sex is probably the last bit, and You might get a great encounter, but chances are it will just be a sort of physical.
And was that adrenaline spike the most when it was the first time with a person, and did you generally go for encounters that were first time encounters?
Yeah, always. I have a
Always. It's
Yeah.
always that excitement of a new person.
Yeah, it's always very cokey. And I have
Very cokey.
Yeah, just in that sense of it's very like the first line is always the best.
Yeah.
It's the hard hit of the I have no interest really
Yeah.
in anything slow building, or because that is a very nuanced, and it's also very uncertain, and I hate uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense of the feeling of abandonment and rejection.
Yeah.
But I would say over a period of time, it was over the period of time, I think that buzz has dissipated somewhat, and that is directly reflective of how sober I've become.
Yeah.
In sobriety, that drug doesn't work for me in the same way.
Yeah.
Annoying.
And the act itself, would you prefer it to be prolonged or wham bam?
It depends on the person or the chemistry.
Okay.
You're not going to get anything. It depends. I mean, drugs will probably make it more prolonged.
Yeah.
In the sense that you hang around a bit more, because you've got the added thing of the hangover and you want the companionship because you feel like shit. Whereas in sobriety, it's more like. Ugh.
I did drugs partially because of how it enhanced sex. Like, you could just go for a long time and not come so quickly. And on ecstasy in particular, when you're touching each other's bodies, just that, even you don't even have to be having sex, just holding someone and feeling like you're melting into their body. It's just so intense, that heightened awareness.
I find that too scary.
You find that too scary?
Yeah, because it's too much like love.
Okay. And you weren't looking for love?
No, I'm too scared of love. I'm scared of falling in love with someone on that night that they'll be taken away from me, and I'll feel so, I'll feel like, I feel like falling in love in that intensity on a nightly basis is too much.
Yeah.
Whereas coke is quite detached, and it's very much like seedy. It's sort of, you're not in any mental delusion that it is the coke. Mm-hmm. You're sort of driven by the sort of like, it's a different. Whereas ecstasy is more like, it's so dreamlike that you can believe the fantasy. I reckon if you did, you could fall in love with someone on ecstasy.
Yeah, because you just share your life stories and everything.
Yeah.
And you start to feel how that person's feeling. Yeah. So you were just doing hit and runs.
Yeah, but ecstasy was much earlier on for me, but later on was coke.
Okay.
Because I felt insecure and I felt professional insecurity, and so therefore bolstering it with cocaine sort of alleviated that.
Yeah.
Because then I could not make stuff up, but I would tell strangers what I was going to do, and therefore that it would alleviate my professional anxiety about the stuff that I wasn't doing.
Yeah, but it's the law of diminishing return sets in, doesn't it? You got to do more coke to keep replenishing that.
Yeah. And
then it gets to the point where it's not even replenishing it.
Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. But that's when you mix up the drugs with alcohol, sex, and coke, and you kind of just go drunk, drink. All right, too drunk now. Coke. Okay, sex. Okay, how can I fuck the sex drug up? Okay, well, and I can do.
Yeah, I was doing exactly the same by the end of it. GHB, ketamine, Xanax, all these cocktails, and the sex as well. Because, like you say, that early fixed high, you've got to start mixing things up while doing way more to get that spike.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah. So, come on then, how do we get into the porn business?
Oh, yeah. So, basically, right, so I have a problem keeping down jobs. I sometimes, like, I've had a business ever since I was 21. They've never made much money, but I've managed to live. And so I just don't think I can work. I can't work 9 to 5 for someone. However, if I've applied for a job with you guys right now, I'm really good at it. But no, I can't.
Too much of a free spirit.
Yeah, whatever. I guess so. Anyway, they fired me. I can't remember why. It was probably a good reason. Oh no! I got drunk! I got drunk and told the head of the channel what you should do with this channel. Yeah, he didn't take too kindly to that. And then they didn't renew my contract, so I was broke. I was out of a job 3 months into my move to London, and then I got a call from a recruiter, and he was like, "Would you like a video editing job in Surbiton?" I'm like, and he told me the fee, and he was like, "It was £150 a day." I was like, "Yeah," this is 2000 and whatever. I was like, "Yeah, totally." And he was like, "Just one thing. It's in the adult industry," and I went, "That's fine." I don't think I'd ever watched porn before.
Really?
Yeah, and it was just hilarious. So I just go down to the sort of industrial estate in Surbiton, and there's this big warehouse, and this guy owns this porn studio, and he's this guy called Paul Chaitlin, and he used to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And he basically set up a porn studio where he's the porn star. Amazing. Right?
Talk about creating your own world.
Do you know what I mean? What it is to be a man, a heterosexual man. It's a man's world. But you know what? And he did it, and and honestly, like, you might laugh, but he sold it for he won loads of adult video awards.
Really?
And he sold it for like loads and loads of money.
Yeah.
But that was just an amazing. That's the only job I've not got fired from.
So what was his setup then? He like had to interview the women, and they had to perform with him to get in the mix.
No, so basically, like, it was 2 floors. The upstairs was the production stuff where I was, and then in the downstairs there was just this expansive warehouse, and they'd have like a wardrobe area. And they had like a green room with professional makeup artists and all that stuff. Yeah. Then they'd have like a place where you'd shoot let's like snap the promo shots for like the thumbnails and shit. I don't know, fuck knows, I don't know. Like just the stills. And then every day someone would be working on a video, like on a video set. Yeah. So like it would be like a sort of rock and roll diner one day. Then it would be like a church altar. It'd be like a fucking manger. Just mad shit. And yeah, so obviously I didn't do any editing whatsoever. I just used to go on set and watch. Because that's fucking like I love, you know what I mean? I love extreme scenarios. Yeah. Like there was nothing, I was just like, I don't want to edit stuff that I'm not in, firstly. Yeah. And secondly, like, I just like extremity, man. And
what was the most extreme stuff they did?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, really. Like, lots of group stuff, lots of DP, which is double penetration, one up the bum, one up the vag.
Yeah.
Facials. Then a couple of twins.
Twins?
Yeah, kit and cat. Yeah. They were interesting.
I mean, did they do threesomes or multiple
guys?
Yeah,
that's the weird thing, because they did threesomes. And I remember watching this one scene where there was the guy who was one of the guy porn stars, and he was having a threesome with the 2 girls who were twins, and they're doing it all. And, you know, part of the turn on is going, "Oh, why don't you touch her up?" And it's that sort of dirty talking vibe. Yeah. And he was getting into it, and then he had to stop himself because he was like, "Actually, that's illegal, and that's incest." You could just hear him going, "Actually, you can't do it. Oh, touch yourself. Go on, touch each other. Oh shit, you can't, Kenya. You're fucking twins."
Well, some of the most searched terms for porn are like mother-in-law, stepdaughter, MILF.
Are we allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Fine.
Yes. All these different things that you see people like the Bible Belt areas of America. It's shown they look for the sickest search terms in porn. Yeah. So you're watching these people now, and what kind of effect is that having on you?
I was excited by it, but not sexually.
You didn't want to do a line of coke and jump in them.
No, but I was like, it was druggy. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's fulfilling some kind of like like it's not turning me on. It's just like it's fulfilling like this kind of like I need to be just the sort of zero, like the 5 out of 10 mundanity of a flipping admin role in a fucking would have it's just It's the opposite of that, and in a good way.
It's igniting your wild side.
Yeah, it's like cerebrally, like it's all going. It's like an adventure. I'm like, oh my god, oh wow, oh my god, and just telling my friends on MSN Messenger. That's how old it is. Just being like, always having the story to tell, and it being exciting.
And did you actually like make friends with any of the actresses?
No, because obviously they are sort of in their own sort of social hierarchy.
Okay.
I did try to, but they're just on a different plane. They're like,
really?
They're just like, because their value system is different from mine. Their value system is fake tits and just like, not that I disagree with what they're doing, 100% not. Just their value system, how they value. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, but you know what I mean. Their value system is completely different from mine, so there's no way that we can find any common ground.
Okay.
Because if a guy like if I'm going to try and bond with them, it's probably going to be sexual. If a guy's going to bond with them in that environment, it will be sexual.
Yeah.
Or it would be compadre, which is like the sort of like if someone's going to bond with a porn star on a porn set. It would either be from a guy crew being sort of technical, but personally would probably have a sexual connotation.
Yeah.
And then a co-star would also be technical, but it probably also would have a kind of sexual connotation.
Yeah.
There's no way for a straight female to bond with a porn star on set unless I was directing them.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's like it's an odd dynamic.
Okay. I thought like they might have come out and had a smoke break or something. You might have a little chat with them. I do have a story about that. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, men earn 300 in this particular one. Men earn 300 quid.
Men earn 300 quid for a shoot.
Yeah.
How long's a shoot?
I didn't time it. Probably like an hour. It's just like enough time for them to have the sex and do all the bits and then come.
It's a lot of pressure to keep your dick up, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what Viagra's for, isn't it?
All right, so the men go in and do the shoot for an hour.
Yeah, 300.
300 quid.
Yeah, 300 quid. And then the girls, 500.
500 per woman?
Yeah, but if they do anal, they get an extra 300.
Wow.
So that's £800.
And can you set a limit on how long you're going to be taking up the butt, or can it go the full hour?
Well, I think it's not for the full hour. I think it's just like, I don't want, if I'm an editor, I don't want an hour's worth of anal footage. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's probably like a 20-minute clip. Do you know what I mean? You got, 5 to 7 minutes of storyline set up. Fast forward through that. You got 3 to 4 minutes at the end for the cum scene variations and just that build up. And then what have you got? 10 minutes. So you probably got 10 minutes in the middle, and that's going to be probably 2 or 3 minutes anal, vaginal, blowjob. Never any cunnilingus for the women though. That's fucking unfeminist.
No.
Unfeminist.
That is unfeminist.
So unfeminist. Anyway, whatever. That's a different podcast.
Oh dear. We could talk about cunnilingus. I think that it should be mandatory.
Yeah, it's not in porn. Not in porn though, is it?
Do you think, on a sensible note for a second?
Yeah.
Do you think that it's good that women have a choice to have that career, or do you think, like the feminists say, it's degrading women, and it's causing people to be sexually warped and all that kind of stuff?
I think it is sort of causing people to be sexually warped.
Yeah.
You only have to look at the revenge porn for around sort of 16-year-old high school. I just finished watching that Aldry and Daisy on Netflix. Flipping heck, to grow up as a teenager right now where you're coerced into sending tit pics and boys are taking photos and raping, ugh, gross.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, but it's driven the technological development of the internet.
Yeah.
So it's you can't really stop it, can you? In terms of women are just doing what they can. It's probably one of the only flipping industries where women naturally get paid more than men.
Right.
I mean, if a woman wants to do that, go ahead. I mean, I think it will get to the point where porn's mainstream.
Yeah.
You can start to see it with a little bit with Jenna Jameson, but
Jenna Jameson in America.
Yeah, but not really. But more so with Stormy Daniels.
I had a bisexual wife in America, and one of her girlfriends had sex with Jenna Jameson.
Oh, really?
In LA, yeah. Yeah.
You just wanted to brag about that, didn't you?
Totally. This is the lads. This is the lads. According to my YouTube stats, it's like 98% it's lads watching this.
Lads! Lads!
I won't get into the date triangle.
Oh, hang on. If there are any nice single ones, hello. But no weird ones, please. No fucking weird. No wife beaters.
You'll
no,
be
thank
getting
you.
all kinds of comments.
No dick pics. Oh, God.
Where were we? Smoke break.
Oh, yeah, right. So I do this skit. I'm going to try and do it like not in a funny way.
Damn.
Which basically, like if it's not funny, then you'll be like, well, you're right, Eleanor, that wasn't funny. And then if it is funny, you'll be like, oh my God, she's even funny when she doesn't even try. Right. Oh yeah, so I'm outside and I'm trying to bond with this porn star because I'm like, oh, like I want to feel part of the family. I've already seen you, like your prolapse.
Did they all have huge cocks? Did they all have huge cocks stereotypically?
No, I don't really remember, to be honest. Just average, innit?
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm chatting and the girl has like these sort of fancy designer sort of diamante like jeans on, and I'm like, oh, nice jeans. And she's like, thanks. They're like designer, and they're like she said they were 800 quid, but I just thought it's just another anal scene. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, it is just an anal scene. I don't know if you ever worked. Have you ever worked in a fast food restaurant?
No.
Oh right. So I used to work at McDonald's, right? And
Yeah.
there was the point system. Like you used to get like stars. Like if you
Yeah.
worked hard, if you did certain things, you'd get 1 star, 2 star, 3. They used to do that on the site in the dressing room of the porn studio.
Yeah.
Like what? Like a sign along the lines of like, don't forget, an anal scene's an extra 300. You're making your tea. You're like, oh, good. Yeah. I liked that. My favourite job.
I hope they at least provided Astroglide.
What's that?
It's a water-based lubricant for anal sex.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think they did. I'm pretty sure it was just a lot of spitting.
Spitting is supposedly the best natural.
I don't think it is. It's not very long lasting, is it? I think if you see someone hocking too much on someone's private parts, they need to try harder.
Do you have a lubricant you prefer?
My own. It's free. Lubricant's quite fucking expensive, you know that. It's like $9.95 for like a small bottle of lube.
And I had to pay extra to get mine shipped from America. The
Why?
Astroglide. They didn't have it in the UK.
Great. Oh.
So, you're going to end up getting... No, this is the only one you didn't get sacked from. The porn job.
Pretty much, yeah.
How long were you there?
3 months.
And what year was that?
2008, probably.
2008. So we're getting closer now to the time when we meet. And what...
Yeah, we've only done 2 years. Yeah.
So what is the next career?
Oh, so I think I'm pretty miserable there. I think at this point, I realised that I need to do what I love doing.
Yeah.
And so obviously I'd had the production company for with my ex, doing all the stuff, and I'd learned to edit obviously and present, and I knew stuff about music, and online video was starting to become a thing.
Yeah.
It annoys me that I don't have a very successful YouTube channel, but I got very bored of doing music stuff.
Anyway, have you got a YouTube channel now?
Yeah, it's got like 80 subscribers. It's fucking shit.
What's the name of your channel?
It's called L Online. I need to get a proper YouTube channel. Can someone from YouTube help me? Oh yeah, so there was this competition. Actually, no, I was envious. I was envious of someone else that had won a competition to be a music reporter for like a brand.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wonder if there's another competition to be a music reporter for a brand. And I Googled it and Virgin.com came up. And they were launching a competition called the Global VPass Reporter. So I started doing these blogs for Virgin.com, right? Just written ones. And then they launched this Global VPass thing, and I basically started producing loads of videos. So basically I basically used what I'd learned in Asia when I was working for like Ministry of Sound and things like that. I basically used it in London. So I set up a production company, which still remains oxygen. And I started contacting all these I started getting interviews with sort of pop acts, and I'd look for a free camera guy and trick them into coming and filming me, and then I'd post it and I'd post it to Virgin, and then eventually I ended up winning this competition, and the prize was to go around the world for them. I know.
Again?
Yeah, to go around the world for them, reporting from all their V festivals internationally. So basically, I won this competition, and I just ended up going around. I basically got this guy, Mike, who's my friend, and we just went around the world, like Canada, America, Australia, stopped off in like Hong Kong to interview Oasis when they got chucked out of China.
Wow.
For doing the thing, and then I pitched another show to them. I created a show called Red Room for them, and then they dumped me. I'm fine with it. And then that was it. Yeah, so I was doing all that music stuff for them. And then after that, after they dumped me, I felt really pissed off and annoyed, and I looked around and I was like, what can I get involved with? Like, what can I use my skills with? I'm bored of music. Like, I don't want to interview Alphabet again. Like, just like, what can I do? And also I want to be on telly, and I'm 28. I'm so old. I was like 28 or something. I can't remember how old I was. And so I looked around at the comedy scene. I was like, well, that looks like that's moving somewhere. You know what I mean? That looks like there's no age restrictions, and maybe I could try and get good at that. And I just sort of I basically spent about, that must have been around 2000. Oh yeah, all the Virgin stuff lasted about until 2009, 2010. So this was around 2010. And basically I sort of hovered around the comedy industry, putting on nights, like creating chat shows, doing all that, just not really investing in writing authentic material about myself, but just hosting, because I was too fearful. And it was another 4 years before I wrote my first Edinburgh show. But in that 4 years, I was sort of, that was the dark time. We had a dark time in Taiwan, but then that sort of 2010, 2014, I was so like, just directionless. I had nothing. It's like now I'm in England, and I'm like, oh, and because I don't allow, I didn't allow structure to ever define me in terms of like getting a 9-to-5 job, living in the right country, like live in the same country. For the first time in a long time, I'm in London, and I was lacking framework, and I just sort of, sort of was still involved in music, but I wasn't in front of the camera, and I was sort of like hosting a couple of comedy nights. I do an open mic night every sort of 6 months, but going out and saying I did, and I was still living off the car crash money, and I was teaching a bit and signing on a bit, and it was just all a bit of a mess.
So when was the first time you went on stage and did a proper comedy show?
Well, I did a comedy course in 2010-ish. Around that sort of time. Yeah. But it was like I did a sprinkle of gigs. I probably did like 10 or 20. And then I just kind of like pretended, just kind of.
Like you said, confidence beat down and stuff earlier on, doing the drugs. Could you just get on the stage sober and be confident?
Yeah, but knowing if I was any good at writing jokes or what my voice was. I didn't even have any sort of linguistics or anything to articulate that.
So what's the process involved to get your material before you go up on the stage?
What now?
No, then when you were just starting, what did you do?
Well, but basically 2000. Well, there was a whole fucking process. Yeah. So basically, I was living in West Croydon, and then I moved to Lewisham, and then I moved to a place on Hackney Road with 2 guys, and that became a bit of a party place. And I was just in East London getting wasted. Yeah. Shaun. That's all I was doing. Yeah. And just scrabbling around and getting bits of money here and there. But like, it was just like alcoholism, it was just nothing. It was just nothing to my life other than going out and getting drunk.
So would you say that the comedy then anchored you out of that void?
Well, no, because between 2010 and 2014, I wasn't really doing comedy. I was doing I probably did about 20 gigs. Okay. So I did 20, but I thought I was in it, but I wasn't. Yeah. It was a lie that I told myself. Yeah. but really, I was directionless. I wasn't really. I phased myself out of the music stuff because I was like, when I got dropped from Virgin, I was just like, oh, well, to climb up that and to get to that big brand again level, it's just going to take me fucking ages. And it's like, I'm just like.
But if you did 20 gigs, there must have been a part of you that was steering you in the right direction, even though the rest of you was lost.
Yeah, totally. But I thought I could get away with putting together chat shows and having comedians do it, and I thought I would get successful that way. Or I thought, and it was just an aversion. So in 2011, I went to Edinburgh and I took a chat show called Time of the Month. And it was, I tried to make it like a fucking live chat show.
Yeah.
They're terrible to do live. Just, I didn't know what I was doing. But, and then in 2012, 2013, I thought, you know what I'll do is I'll create a format and I'll take it to Edinburgh. And then by Christmas, I'll be on Live at the Apollo. That's generally what I thought, right? But that's my extremist binary, you know, I'll do this, I'll be this, I'll have this extreme outcome.
But sometimes that grandiosity motivates you to put the work in.
Yes.
You think this is going to go huge.
Yes, but if you're sober, not if you're fucking a functioning alcoholic, it doesn't. Because you do one gig and you're not on the Apollo and you get really sad.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, 2012, I was like, it has to be now. So basically, I put this show together called Comedy Rumble. I didn't know what the fuck it was, but the poster looked great. The name sounded good. And I basically, bless my mum. She basically, Edinburgh can be quite expensive. So basically, I hired a venue and I got the big posters, very ego-led. You know, the big posters you see in Edinburgh, like 1,500 quid a poster. Basically, I spent about 10 or 12 grand. I did not have 10 or 12 grand on an Edinburgh run.
Whoa!
Now, this is a business model where if you sell out, I worked out, if I sold out every one of my seats, I'd still lose 4 grand. Right? That head shake. People with Edinburgh Fringe, yeah. And so I did that, and
Don't
I was.
tell me only your mum showed up.
No, it did okay. It was on at midnight. It was fine. It was good. But it was a raucous piss up. So guests would come on. Like my favourite time was when we nearly got chucked out of the venue because one guy, because it was a midnight show. Yeah. So one guy got up mid show to go to the toilet, and then all of a sudden all of a sudden, the crowd starts shouting, "Piss in a cup, piss." So basically, what can you do when you've got a whole crowd shouting "piss in a cup"?
Yeah.
He's got to fucking piss in a cup, Shaun. So he pissed in a cup. Everyone was like, "Wait!" The tech went fucking mad, you know, because they're all like posh girls and boys out there.
Yeah.
And I nearly got chucked out of Underbelly for the rest of the run.
So you look at this as the cost of entering the business?
Yeah, I'll tell you what it did teach me. It taught me what... I think sometimes people go along with frameworks because everybody does it.
Yeah.
Right? They do the big posters, they do the paid venues, but essentially those big posters didn't mean anything. I mean, to be honest, year 1, 2012, I did it, and I felt quite joyous. And then the next year, I was so ingrained in my alcoholism by that point. I just basically took the same show up again, borrowed some more money from my mum. It was on an earlier time, which clashed with all the other shows. And you know when you've walked into a situation and you've lost, you feel it within you. Yeah. And so for the whole month, I was flogging this dead horse that I just didn't want to be there.
Well, you could have quit at that point.
I could have quit at that point, yes. But it was like I felt desperate that this was the only way I could do it. Edinburgh was my way out, and this is the only way I can do it. Throwing loads of money, I didn't have a thing, and not really thinking about the substance or all that stuff. And it was a fucking horrible thing. I was right at the bottom of my alcoholism. Like I was just fucked. I was just fucked. And the penultimate day, I found out I was pregnant in the KFC, and I was like, I don't even know who the fucking father is.
What?
I was just like, it was just bottom. It was just the fucking bottom. It was just the fucking bottom. Yeah. You know. The whole sort of the aftermath of Taiwan, the hype, that everything I'd kind of gone, I ploughed through all the drinking, all the drug, all the dick, all everything. Nothing was working anymore. Yeah. And you know, those weeks after Edinburgh, just waiting to get an abortion and just feeling my body change within me, and just feeling like I'd found my housemate coming in and picking me up off the floor. Like it wasn't just that, it was everything. It was everything. My life was crashing down, but like around me, and I hadn't really recuperated from Asia and the trauma that I'd suffered out there, and I was just fucked.
So what pulled you through?
I don't know.
Has your mum been strong then with you in your
Yeah,
rock?
yeah, she's been good, and I think I do kind of shut her off on that, but I don't even know what happened. I think it wasn't till the following April, it was the following June. So basically we'd gone from like September through to June, and it just continually, you know, it had been just everyday drinking really.
Yeah.
And just like that, just horrible, not paying my rent, my landlord's stressing me out, getting like, obviously I'm getting loads of debt collection agencies harassing me because I fucking racked up off all this debt.
Yeah.
And just, you know, I'm just really struggling, and I had no direction, and the comedy thing that I'd hoped would work wasn't working. And I put around June time, I went out. I was I thought, do you know what I thought I'd do? I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I am going to get fit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on this really tough exercise regime, because if I can stick to that, then I can change my life and I can be good.
Yeah.
Extreme control. Where there is extreme uncontrol, I'm going to instill extreme control on my life, and I will try and change it that way.
And the physical, just the mental.
So yes.
Yeah.
So I signed up to this guy, this online PT coach, and he gave me this very, very strict thing. He was like, you can't drink. Yeah. And I was like, you don't understand. I have to drink. Like I do not, like I perform, you know. I was hosting a lot then from my friend Johnny, and I was like, you don't understand, like I have to drink. And so I'd follow the diet. I'd be going to the gym twice a day. It was very, you know, very measured, and then I think I managed 3 or 4 weeks, and then the last, I think I broke the diet, but I didn't break it, I fucking broke it. And I just went out on this massive bender for 3 days, just like
back to the coke and everything.
Not really. I don't know if it was the coke, but I remember it being very drinky.
Yeah.
It was almost like I'd held on, and then as soon as like a little crack in the dam had happened, I just went.
Yeah.
And it was just like all or nothing. And I just posted about it on Facebook. I was just like, I've been out for 3 nights in a row, and I can't remember if it was a joyous Facebook update or if it was like, oh my God update. And my friend reached out, and he was like, you know, and he took me to my first meeting.
Right.
And that's when everything changed.
Really? Like Russell Brand said. Yeah.
Changed everything.
So what year is this now?
This is 2014. This is June 23rd,
okay.
2014.
So we're getting close. And from that bottom point, how did you climb up using 12 steps then?
Yeah. So he took me to a meeting in Hampstead, and even though like everyone's a little bit old and a bit richer than me, like I just got it, and then I went to some of my East London meetings, and it was just, for someone that always had to drink, I could never imagine a time where I didn't drink. That is me. I am the party girl. I'm about getting as fucked up as possible, and until I can't take any more. You know, the oblivion.
Yeah. And
that is almost like chasing death, in it.
Yeah, I was the same. I mean, there was points where I was flopping on the floor like a fish on having too much GHB. Yeah, the oblivion, going to oblivion, knowing that you push yourself to oblivion. There's something about that feeling. It sounds counterintuitive, but
it's calming.
You're actually striving for it. When you're high, you're striving for it sometimes.
It's calm. All the anxiety drops away.
Yeah, you can't think of anything that's worrying you. It's gone.
Everything's gone.
Yeah.
The stress of expectation, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of rejection, all that shit just melts away, and you're floating, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, I think I went to a Saturday morning meeting in Bethnal Green, and there's 150 people in that fucking meeting at 10 o'clock in the fucking morning, and it's like a fucking club. and everyone's just picking up chips and just like, and like like almost the joy was a bit too like, oh, you're too happy. But I knew something changed within me, and I knew I was like, oh, this is where I'm not going to drink again, and I just knew it. I just was like, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be until the day I die, but like, I just was like, oh wow, you're going to be sober, Ellen, now, and that's going to be your identity.
My best education in addiction was being forced for almost 6 years to live with addicts.
I can imagine.
And that understanding then of what they'd gone through and why they were doing it, and seeing their own struggles, kind of like fed a lot of information into my brain, because at the beginning I talked about going deep inside yourself, but it wasn't until that turning point in my life that I was able to start going inside myself, and I imagine that was similar for you.
Yeah, like, you know what I was saying about before, that I didn't realise that I was socially anxious because I didn't have any understanding of myself.
Yeah.
And that's completely different to where I am now, when I can laugh at that sort of, that woman was there.
Yeah.
But I like her because she's funny and she gives me lots of colour to my like present,
Yeah.
But like, I'm not like that now, and you're not like how you were now.
Yeah.
But yeah, 12 steps saved my life. 100% fucking saved my life.
I think it's important for a lot of people watching this, because I get contacted by people with addiction issues all the time, and they say, watching this video, it made me put things in perspective, and I've managed to stop doing what I was doing for the time being, or whatever. But what would you say is the process in your mind that made you not go back? I mean, did you see there was like root causes, or do you just have like a circuit breaker that you've built through learning things?
I would say, look, for me, I think listening to other people's being in recovery was a circuit breaker for me.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's a window of understanding about myself, like the way that I process as an addict stuff, emotion, pain, all that shit, just from listening to other people.
Yeah.
But just having support and coping mechanisms, and people being loving and kind of, being understand. I was mad. I was mad. Like my first meetings, my first week of recovery, I went to Glastonbury for 4 days with all my mates on ecstasy, and then crowd surfed over 3,000 people in a corset. I was sharing about that in my meetings, and they were like, right, they've only started telling me, like, my ex-sponsor just started telling me, she was like, we thought you weren't going to come back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just the circuit breaker, and the more you know, the more difficult it is to go back.
Yeah.
Like now, the craving for drink and drugs is I don't really have it. Sometimes I do. Like, I'd love to get wasted with white wine and Coke with my friends.
Yeah.
But it's very fleeting.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this the other day, one of the downsides of recovery and sobriety is the new levels of anxiety. So before, if I'd feel anxious or stressed out, I would drink so I didn't have to think about it and I could seek oblivion.
Yeah.
But now I have to sit in the full anxiety circle. So the anxiety reaches deeper now, because there's nothing preventing it to.
Yeah.
And learning to deal with that has been like, it's been like a lesson. It's been a thing. It's a thing that I struggle with.
Yes. Yeah, when I got out of prison, after not doing anything for almost 6 years, I just substituted drugs then with alcohol. So I was going out with all my mates, and their thing was just going to the pub, getting wasted, and I was getting so wasted. Because my liver was clear, just passing out basically in pubs and stuff. And then I moved down south. My fitness instructor, Tony, I clicked up with these fitness people, and we'd go to these parties, and Tony, he was like the life and soul of the party. He was the last one to go home, and he wasn't drinking anything. And I thought, you've got to be on either a substance or alcohol to have a good time. And seeing him that night, something just clicked in my head. I thought, I can do this. I don't need to substitute one thing for the other, have that nasty hangover for a day or so, I can't get my work done, and be a healthier, clearer-minded person. So he was really fundamental in me getting off all substances completely.
So have you never been to a meeting?
I've never been to a meeting, but I've had therapy, and I had a brilliant meditation teacher as well who enabled me to go inside myself. Because that leads to another question I was going to ask you. When you go inside yourself, you see things that have happened that shape you and are contributory factors. Is there anything from your life that you remember from early on that could have affected your mental state? And
I don't know. I think I've just always been that. I've just always been that way. I got
Yeah.
bullied quite severely at school.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's a huge thing.
yeah, I got really bullied.
Getting bullied at school. I mean, you're
Like
at that-
gangs of girls waiting for me outside of school. Like,
Oh my God.
yeah, like quite a lot. Like I'd leave school and there'd be like 60 or 70
That is
people waiting for
hugely
me.
traumatic for a kid to go through.
Yeah.
That
and
will have really,
fucked me up.
yeah.
Turn up back. And so as a direct result,
Mm.
I really fell in love with ecstasy and the tribal nature of rave culture and that whole sort of like, you are included.
Yeah.
And so that's where that's all come from. And so I think those coping techniques,
Mhm.
I don't totally subscribe to the whole like, oh, it's a disease. I don't think I sat on a toilet seat and caught it.
Yeah.
But I can understand how I might have a predisposition. Members of my family have been big drinkers,
Mhm.
so I kind of think that you learn how to cope with stuff
Yeah.
from the people around you. So,
Yeah.
and I'm quite an energetic personality, so I'm
Mhm.
quite hyper focused. I can get quite hyper focused.
Yeah. So Russell Brand, he says, I'm an addict. If I drink alcohol, my guard is down. By the end of the night, I'm going to be smoking crack and shooting up heroin. This is how I am for the rest of my life. But I don't feel that myself. I feel, like you just mentioned, you've got this addictive tendency, and that I had a relationship with drugs. I don't have cravings for drugs anymore. I can go out and dance at ministry, go to a beaver and dance all night, be around people taking drugs. It doesn't affect me in the slightest. I just close my eyes, hear the music, get into the vibe, and just get high on the physical movement.
I haven't been able to go to a club in the same way as I used to.
Right.
And that saddens me, because that was my 20 to that was
Yeah.
that's like half my life up until I was 30.
Yeah.
So it does, but but getting on stage,
Mhm.
comedy, like it's a different kind of connection, and
That's a high in itself.
yeah, it's amazing.
That's a positive addiction.
Yeah, I guess so.
You've substituted a positive addiction, because the therapist said to me, when you give something up that's negative, you got to put something in its place, and there's nothing wrong with channeling your energy into positive addictions.
No, well, I hope that's what comedy is. It's a positive thing.
Well, it's many things, but for you, I think it plays a role. So, all right. So, for people watching this with addiction issues, is there any advice you would give to someone with addiction issues who's struggling?
Well, I would say there is another way of living your life. You can be happy, and you can. There is a way of living life where you can love yourself and kind of be okay in the present. And I never used to know that. I used to think that life was getting wasted.
Mm.
And anything outside, I didn't realise there was an outside, firstly. And I didn't... I don't know. I would say get to your bottom and then get to a meeting. For me, meetings work.
Yeah.
They do. And I know that some people don't like them, whatever. The God thing's a bit of a put off, but...
Mhm.
At the core of it, it's like a group of people
Yeah.
that their job is to help another recovering addict or alcoholic,
Yeah.
and you're probably one of them.
Mhm.
So give them a job to do.
Yeah. I think there's many different tools and roads out there for people to go down to get over this addiction thing and move on with their lives. And yours was that, and mine was prison. And the common theme is being around other addicts and seeing their suffering and seeing how they did it, and people who are ahead of you who've healed themselves.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest message, is that, if anyone, like, if the only thing that you can get from this video that we just shot and podcast is that you can become healed. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not completely healed. We've still got our issues, but we're healed comparatively to where we were.
Yeah.
And there's always a second chance. You can be fucked, like properly fucked. And whatever you've done, it's you deserve to move forward.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The lowest place you've ever been, you deserve to move forward.
Yeah.
And, to get to a point where I'm able to talk to you about all that stuff and not get upset, but maybe share my experience that someone else can get a bit of like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And look where she is now. And, you can be successful. You can be successful and you can be happy.
Yeah.
You can have money. I want loads of money.
We've got really serious here, but Eleanor is extremely funny, and she's got a show coming up
Called Walk of Shame 2, Reality Bites.
When can people see you and where?
Well, it depends when this goes out. If it goes out...
We're going to get this out. What I'll do is, we'll get this one out next.
All right. Yay!
Yes, because I want to get it out so people can damn well see when you've got your next show.
I'm in London November 1st, but then I'm on tour. I'm on tour beginning in January, so I'm going to be in Australia, probably a bit of Asia, and then in the UK. I'll be in the UK April and May doing a tour. Please find all the details from
Is there a website people can go to?
EleanorConway.com. And can you follow me on Facebook and Instagram because I don't have enough engagement. Ugh.
And we need to get your YouTube subs over 100 because they're presently... What's your channel again?
L Online. It's a terrible, oh God, I can't even bear the thought of a terrible username. I was trying to make it like personalised, but I don't know how to do it.
Oh, well, you're going to get loads of people wanting to help you after this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Please be tall and nice.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
See you, man.
You as well.
Oh!
Love you, and good luck with your tour.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah.